My name's Don Hewett, and I'm running for Congress in Washington State's 10th Congressional District. I think that character is probably one of the most important items that we need for our politicians. Question then is, what is character? I think these are things to me, things such as humility, your ability to listen to others. They have a message too. These are things that we need in character. It's something that's very much lacking in most of our politicians is humility. Integrity is another one. That is, we don't lie, cheat, or steal, and we don't tolerate anybody who will lie, cheat, or steal. These are things that are missing. These are the items that I think are most important in our politicians. They represent you. They're your representative. You need them to have these characteristics. You know, a lot of our people that are running right now for office don't even live in the district. They don't even live here, or they've recently moved here. The question is, what motivates them? With this video, I'm hoping that you get to know my character a little bit. One of the things, for example, is, why am I running for Congress? I'm running for Congress, and one of the biggest reasons is because I think it's time for you to have your voice heard, and all of us to have our voice heard. The other thing is, I've lived here almost my entire life. This is my home. My dog's in this fight. I live here. I'm not somebody who's recently moved here, or, like several of the other ones that are running, don't even live in the district. That's ridiculous. This is my home. One of the greatest blessings that we have in life is that we get to help other people. It's my turn now to help you in our community. You've helped me very much to get where I've gotten. Now, a lot of our politicians will say they have character. They'll say, for example, hey, I've helped the community a lot. They'll say things like, I contributed a lot of money to, I don't know, some large bureaucratic agency or whatever. Are they really serving their community? For me, I've done things like, I've worked with a church to go and renovate homes for single mothers, or they need help. I'm one of the ones that goes out and I swing the hammer, saw the wood, and help build the house for somebody who really needs these things. I volunteered to work in our schools with a program that was actually called Watchdogs, where I would help kids learn to read and write, and I got the chance to do that. That's service. Service isn't just going out and giving some money to, I don't know, some agency somewhere. It's going out and doing it where the rubber hits the road. I volunteer at a local food bank. I actually drive and help carry food to people's houses that need food. I do that. This is serving others. So while they're going to tell you that they have character and they serve other people, they really don't do that. But furthermore, my life has always been about service. For example, I'm a single parent, taking care of a son who's now heading off to college. It gives me time now to represent you. But my 95-year-old mother has moved in with me, and I take care of her as well. Instead of having her be stuck somewhere else, she can live here. And I take care of her. But my sister also lives here too. She was going through some real problems in California and had nowhere to go. So together, she's moved in, I take care of her, and we help Grandma. Another example. At one time, there was a homeless guy that was living in the forest behind my house in the woods, and he had nowhere to go. He was getting frostbite and having all sorts of problems, living in a tent. Well, I helped him. I made sure that he was fed and had him and gave him, he could live in my camper, take care of him. Now he's back on his feet. That's service. That's helping people. Help them get back on their feet. In short, I walk the talk. Others just talk. I'm not like the guy that's going to sit there and wave a constitution at you and say all this sort of stuff. We all follow the Constitution. That bothers me when they do that because they just have a lot of stuff to say, but they don't have any real evidence behind that. Now, another question is, why do I serve other people? Well, I like to tell stories here. There was a guy who found a genie on the beach, and he rubbed the bottle, and out popped the genie, asking him, what do you want most in life? And he said, I want to be the richest, most powerful person on the planet. And poof, he was naked in the woods. He's the only one on the planet. We need each other. And we are blessed to be able to help each other. That's how I see life. I also see it, well, okay, and I like to tell, these are things that are embedded in my beliefs and why I think what I think. There was a one-eyed man. They asked him what he wanted most in life. And he said, I want everybody else to have both their eyes poked out. And you go, why? And he goes, because then I'll be the richest, most powerful person on the planet. You go, okay. Then he asked a guy who was reasonably wealthy, what do you want most in life? And he said, I want everybody to be as wealthy as I am. And they go, why? And he goes, well, if everybody else is richer, I too will be better off. We will all be better off. Another way of saying it is a rising tide raises all boats. That's the reason why I think this way. These are things that are fundamental to how I think and believe. But let me give you a little bit of background on myself. That's probably one thing you're interested in is, who am I? What's my background? Well, I grew up in Seabrook, Texas until I was about 12 years old. And then my dad worked on the Apollo project, and with many astronauts who were on my paper route when I was a paper boy. We moved to Tacoma when the Apollo project wound down. I went to school at Wilson High School in Tacoma, and that's where I went to high school. And then I went to school at the University of Washington to get a degree in mathematics and a second degree in computer science. While I was there, I worked at Microsoft for a while, and I worked with the early versions of Windows 95 and the mouse driver, working with that. And I'm really kind of proud of the mouse driver. It doesn't crash. But I kind of pretty much started running out of money, and I couldn't afford college, so then I joined the Air Force. I served in Strategic Air Command at Buff Base, as a B-52 base, and Dyess Air Force Base in Texas. I worked with the 96 Bomb Wing. I served in the 96 Bomb Wing as security police. There was one of the first bases to receive and deploy the B-1 bomber. We went through a lot of operational readiness inspections, or ORIs. That's where they challenged the security of the Air Force Base to see that your security is good enough to deploy the B-1 bomber. That's when it was brand new. Well, when my time was up in the Air Force, then I hopped in my car with everything I owned, and I drove back to Tacoma. I wanted to go back to school. I was unable to complete my first degree because I ran out of money. Then I came back to school at the University of Washington and completed my degree in mathematics and computer science. After that, I went and started working at Boeing. When I worked at Boeing, I worked basically quality control with the 747, 767, and 777 production lines. My job was what they call non-conformance. In producing airplanes like Boeing, every airplane has some problems. There's always something wrong with it during the assembly of the airplanes. What I worked with in Boeing was I helped root cause problems that they're having during the building of these airplanes and fixing these problems. I did that. Then I was able, after I was at Boeing for a while, earned enough money, then I was able to go back to school and degree in what I really wanted to eventually have a degree in, which was electrical engineering. So I got a degree in electrical engineering, and then I started working at Intel. I worked on high-end server development. I did BIOS programming, first of all, the software design. That's the basic input and output system, start your computer up. And in fact, we worked on the first C BIOS that was completely written in C. And this was actually created for the Itanium system, which is a Itanium 64-bit system that Intel was doing. My specialization was disk I/O on the input and output of the system. But later, I was able to work on quality control with Intel. At this time, I started working more with hardware. It was actually working with the physical layout of the components on the board, the hardware. But my problem was mostly to root cause issues that were going on with the platform. My job was to help figure out what was broken and to fix it. They actually called me Mr. Fix-It, and I actually got a shirt that says Mr. Fix-It that they gave me. But my colleagues would call me that. I didn't really think I deserved that title because it was them that I listened to. I worked with them, and I don't feel like I'm all that smart, but what I was able to do is to listen to others, understand what they're saying, and help find solutions to problems. There were many times where I thought I was right about things, but I'd find out, the consent of the team when we're working on items, people would have their issues. That's when I learned that you can disagree and consent, to what's going on. What's really meant by that is you're with a team of people, you're working with a team, you're directing the team, and I did a lot of that. And you're directing a team to try to solve these problems and find out, but when they all start saying this is the solution to solve the problem, you may think it's different, but you're kind of outvoted by the team. You agree to do what the team decided to do. Then you commit to it. You commit to it wholeheartedly. One of the problems with people is that we're like a cat. You pick a cat up and you put him on your lap, and a cat goes, "It's not my idea, I'm not going to sit there." But when a cat decides to be in your lap, they're not going to leave your lap. You got to not be like that. Even if it's not your idea, you consent with a team and you commit wholeheartedly to it. But what I mostly learned working with directing these teams was the art of compromise. Bringing a team together, listening to each other, helping everybody else to listen to each other and learn how to compromise. Compromise is an art. You may always think, let me ask you a question. Do you always think you're right? Well, of course you do. Because if you thought you were wrong and you thought the stuff you're doing was completely wrong, would you keep doing it? No, you wouldn't. We always think we're right. We find out sometimes we're wrong, and that's learning. That's fine. But don't be stuck where you think you're right and you're unwilling to compromise or work with other people. That's the art that I learned. But my greatest desire now is to have your voice heard. This is a country of the people, by the people, for the people. That is why I'm running, to have your voice heard. People are smart. You guys are smart. You're very smart. It's you that sent men to the moon and returned them to our planet. Design our cars. Grow our food. It's a complicated process. Design and build our buildings. Doing all these things. You're very smart. It's not our politicians that ever did any of those things. It's you. You need to be listened to. You know what's needed. Another story. If you had a jelly bean jar and you wanted to know how many jelly beans are in that jar, you've seen those contests, you can almost always win that contest. The way you win that contest is that you take everybody's vote and you average them. You'll be as statistically close as you can possibly be. You'll come to the best answer. Use the jelly bean jar. Let me ask another question. What are the 4 branches of government? The 4 branches. Let's see, there's executive, that's the presidency, the White House, legislative, Congress, judicial, our court system. What's the 4th? The 4th branch is the people. This branch needs to be listened to and heard. You're the jelly bean jar. I need to have your vote, your thoughts. Bring your ideas. People are smart. This is a country of the people, by the people, for the people. It's your country. You need to have your voice heard. And we need to bring some common sense back to our government. One of the things that I've always learned about, if it doesn't buy you anything, don't do it. Our government does a lot of actions, spends your money. They spend it inefficiently a lot of times. And it doesn't buy you anything. If it doesn't buy the customer something, you don't really need to do that. We do too much of that in our government. In fact, if you're a regular business, you're always looking for ways to cut your cost to stay in business. Government's one of those things where they never try to cut your cost. They never cut their own cost, and they still stay in business. It's time for us, the people, the 4th branch of government, to stand up, be represented by a representative you could trust who listens to you, and bring some common sense back to our government. That is what I really want to do. I really want to help you do better. It's not the one-eyed man, it's the other guy. If you do better, we all do better. We're better off for this. I want to thank you for letting me bend your ear again and listening. I'm working on trying to produce more videos. This one here is just so you understand my character a little bit. Please stay tuned. I want to thank you very much. Again, my name is Don Hewett, Hewett. It's like there. And I'm running for Washington State's 10th Congressional District. I want to thank you very much for your time, and thank you for letting me bend your ear.